County Board of Supervisors to order. We have an agenda before us. Ask if there's any additions or corrections.
I have not motion to approve.
Well, delete county engineer.
Yeah,
Oh, delete the county engineer.
yeah, he won't be here today, so.
Okay.
Well, an under county attorney general discussion, like to just bring up about the Upper Cedar watershed. Bring up the Upper Cedar watershed.
Oh, okay. Okay, did you make a motion, Bill?
I'll second.
Okay. A motion and a second to approve the agenda with the changes.
I tried, Bob.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. Item number 2, County Attorney General Discussion. Morning, Mark.
Good morning, how are you?
Great.
There's approval of suspension of taxes here. I guess I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming it must have something to do with that Ruchel Habitat for Humanity.
Yes.
We have a couple of them here.
Yeah,
Dave.
a couple of them, yeah.
Okay.
Bernard Anderson and
Gary
Gary
Hager.
Agers for different reasons, yeah. Suspension.
Now, if they're suspended, that means eventually when the house gets sold, they have to get paid,
Yes.
right?
They just aren't accruing interest.
Right. But it's not like they're forgiven.
No. Not when they're just suspended.
Yeah, abated is when they're forgiven.
See, the one for Anderson's $274, Agers is $1,060.
I'm gonna check on that.
Okay.
I argued with him about that.
Okay. Check, man. He says he paid the taxes.
On
When I sold him that lot, they deducted the taxes off of what I got
what's that?
on that 720, on this Habitat for Humanity. It's the same lot that I'm thinking about.
Okay, this is because you guys voided that tax certificate for Hackensmith. And that was Sean Rochelle.
This isn't, maybe not talking about the same lot.
No, and then I had to do a negative apportionment, so that puts the taxes back on the books. So you either have to send a bill to the city or abate those taxes from 9/10.
Do you know where this is located at?
That I can tell you.
Lot 5 and 6, one's District E.
It's in Osage.
About the same numbers I was talking about.
Let's see. Well, it's lot 11, block 97. I don't know if I have an address anywhere.
It's the same parcel. It's the one you bought.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but see, at one time, there was a tax certificate out there. When did you buy? Who did you buy it from, the city? Okay, you guys just voided that tax certificate at the end of July. So I had to do the negative apportionment in
I asked the city,
August.
they said they paid the taxes on it.
They did the current tax, but this is this tax certificate was in 2010, tax certificate that Sean Rochelle had bought, and it got caught in that, where that law changed and then that.
Oh, that's the same property?
Yeah, so they, at that, and then when you guys decided to give him his $871.50 back, then I had to do the negative apportionment. The taxes went back on the book for 9/10. City paid the 10/11, yes, I believe after that. But this all came about after.
So this is for 9 and 10?
Yes.
All right.
And this all came about because of canceling that tax certificate and giving Sean back his money.
What are the taxes for this year?
Oh, I didn't run that, I guess, but,
I'll be out.
well, they probably don't owe any this, well, do they yet this, I guess I'm not sure. if-
Deducted them from what they gave me. I just want to know.
Okay, they probably do, because if it was at Habitat, but I didn't run one for this year, Joel, I got for
All
the
right,
9/10.
I'll check with you later.
Yeah,
All right,
and
I
on the-
understand that.
Isn't this up for sheriff's sale, that house, or is this a different one?
Sheriff's sale I have nothing to do with, I don't know,
Because there's one for Habitat for Humanity here.
This is a bare lot now,
Okay.
yeah.
but there is another one that is up for
I
foreclosure.
don't understand why that was taking so long to go under sheriff's sale.
They just do.
So that's
So
what,
all the paperwork's in order for the approval of the suspension.
yes.
So
Or abate, these would have to be abated for this,
Yeah, there's no paperwork today on.
oh,
the
on
meeting.
this, okay, but
Just
the
two
suspension, yeah.
suspensions.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second for the approval of the suspension of taxes for both properties. Does that motion stand?
Yep.
Okay. Roll call vote, Walk.
Aye.
Bullfinder.
Aye.
Earl, aye. Motion carried.
I didn't look at this, but I know I have in previous years, I'm just trying to remember. If they qualify, you don't have any discretion, right? You have to suspend them?
That's
I
correct.
believe that's correct.
Yeah, it's not like,
For the-
Yeah, as long as
Yeah.
DHS is
DHS.
still eligible.
Yep.
Yeah, mhm.
Oh, we've been doing it every year since
Yeah.
I've been here.
Yeah, yeah.
and before
well,
that.
that Eggers is under foreclosure too,
Oh,
and he hasn't paid for how many years?
oh, that's several years.
Oh,
Oh, it
it's-
could be 10
Yeah.
years.
I'll bet it's more than 10 years.
Good look.
Well, let me see what I got here. That is file.
Yeah, if you've been by that property, why, I doubt if anybody would even want to pay the full amount of what's owed against it on taxes. It is not good.
Yeah, it used to be really a nice place.
Well, I know somebody who would buy it, the adjoining property owners.
Yeah, it bulldoze it under.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 'cause they've been nothing but a squabble out there between them.
Yeah,
I used
okay.
to deliver mail up there, so.
Lawsuits
Yep.
and
Looks
criminal
like
charges.
Back and forth.
2002, 2003 looks like the first year.
Yeah, so 10 years.
One less, yeah.
So on that other one then, do we just need to do the paperwork to do the
Make that.
suspension? Or,
For the Anderson one?
no, for this Hackett
Habitat.
Smith?
Yeah, I thought we just need paperwork.
I'll stop afterwards and talk to you, and we can decide what we need to do.
Okay,
Because I didn't realize it went back on then.
okay, yeah, because you avoid that certificate. and
Okay.
Do the negative apportionment, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then item B, Stan added, he had some information about the watershed.
Well, last week, we talked about the Upper Cedar watershed, the 28E agreement, of course, the two attorneys. I got a hold of Mark Kuhn this morning. I have not been able to get a hold of Susan Junkins. I had a nice conversation with Mark Kuhn. They're supposed to be having a board meeting in that 11th of September, and Susan Junkins would be coming up here that day. And so in order to really have a full explanation of what is all going on, what is perceived to happen in the future, and so on and so forth, Mark and I, if you agree and if Susan can make it, we would like to tentatively set a meeting up that afternoon at 2 o'clock with the full board here.
What day was that, Stan?
It'd be Tuesday, September 11th. Because they're going to have a full board meeting of the Upper Cedar watershed at 4:30 at Charles City.
So they meet before that.
And so, I mean, Susan would come up here at 2 o'clock, give us a full update of what they're trying to accomplish, funding, all of that. And so if that would be acceptable to you guys, why, we'll,
Yeah, I don't,
because I still feel it would be worth our time to be part of this, and so I'll get a hold of Mark then and tell him that,
Pencil it in here.
Yeah.
Let them open.
put that on as part of our agenda, then we'll just
Recess.
recess the meeting in the morning and reconvene at 2. So I don't know if you'd want to be part of that, Mark? and-
I've got it written down. If I don't have anything scheduled already, I'll be here.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay. Okay, item 3, consideration of the FEH contract.
I dropped it off.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
I mean, there's so much stuff to
It's
be
just a standard.
completed, you're not really agreeing to anything. It's an agreement to agree, which, really doesn't mean anything, so If you want to approve it, you can approve it, but you're really not approving anything. I don't understand why they need it approved when they don't have it completed, because it doesn't mean anything yet.
But basically, does it
Keeps the ball going.
keeps the ball going, so
Kind of
if that's all that we're gonna do, why don't we?
If they say they need it approved so they can keep the, things going, that's fine. I mean, we're not suffering any liability because no court's going to enforce this the way it is.
Right.
So it's sort of a letter of intent maybe, or not even that?
It's not even that.
Yeah.
It's approving their contract, which I was told that all architectural contracts are exactly the same.
They all use the same company and they're all exactly the same. And if you ask them to change it, take out a paragraph, they won't do it.
No. So if you want to move forward, that's part of the,
I suppose what you have to say is, we agree that once it's completed, we will approve it. I think that's what they want, isn't it? Or they want you to actually approve it now. Does anybody know?
yeah, kind of. Yeah, they want us to approve it so that they can move forward, but then you'll notice there, the numbers are put in there, but all that is negotiable,
Yeah.
they said, and,
So like I said, you're not,
and
you're
even
suffering
there
no
are-
risk whatsoever by approving it.
It's non-binding.
It's not, well, no
Right.
court's gonna enforce it because there's
Yeah.
no terms in to enforce right
Right,
now.
nothing there in there to enforce, but that, again, I think what they want us to do is approve that format.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. I'd
Fine
make a
with me.
motion to
Gentlemen's
approve that.
agreement.
Yeah, you want it back, Joel? It's just my copy.
Okay, we have
It's the
a
only one
motion
we
and a
got.
second to
I
approve.
can make a copy and drop it in your box. And
Okay.
We have a motion and a second to approve the FEH contract. Roll call vote, Wolflander.
Aye.
Walk.
Aye.
Morano, aye. Motion carried. Item number 4, second reading of proposed Mitchell County steel or metal wheel ordinance.
haven't heard any comments one way or the other, so I'd make a motion to go ahead and approve this.
I did have a phone call
Oh.
from Dan Zimmerman against it.
Okay, well, maybe I do. There's a light on my phone.
And I had a phone call from Dan Zimmerman. He had concerns thinking that we are going through some motions that basically the Iowa DOT would not try to enforce or whatever. And Dan said he'd try to get me more information a little later before next week's board meeting. If he does get some information, I'll try to make appropriate contacts with whoever. But right now, I don't, like I say, that it's the only one I've had is Dan Zimmerman.
I have none.
And I can just tell you, I've been in contact with the DOT and their attorneys, and they said they will be up here and they will enforce the state law, and they'll appear at all the hearings, and they're gonna bring their experts up to testify. So this mirrors the state code exactly, and they say they're very concerned because they were concerned about some of the language in that Supreme Court opinion that somebody was now gonna come in and challenge the studs on tires, that they could run them whenever they wanted to. So they're very concerned, they want to be a part of this, and so if he's told you the DOT has said we're not going to, be enforcing it, that's not what Des Moines is saying.
Maybe a
But until we get something, basically, whatever, I mean, I don't see any reason not to approve the second reading today, put it that way. I don't see anything that should stop the second reading.
Should ask for public comments, since it's set for hearing.
Pardon?
You should ask for public comments before there's a motion, since it's set for hearing.
We already had the hearing last week.
Already had the hearing last
No, but this is the second one,
week.
isn't it?
Second reading.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
I guess if there are any public comments, I'll listen to them.
Well, speaking of
Hearing none.
person of the public, and I'll speak just because I'm a citizen of this county, and I do frequently go out to the landfill on Mondays, or sometimes on Fridays, and sometimes on Wednesdays. I guess the biggest thing that bothers me about this, they all know out there in that group that we do not like them on the hard surface roads. We don't have a problem with them using, their steel lugs in their property and on the gravel. But more often than not, I've seen the same gentleman drive probably 10 miles on hard surface road to get to that auction, when he could probably only drive on 1 mile of hard surface and just take the gravel road going there. And they'll do the same thing coming south on Addison. I mean, you'll see them coming all the way when there's other routes, but, so in a way, they just, to me, they don't respect our feelings either. I mean, I don't have a problem with them wanting to, use steel wheels. Use them in your own property, but don't use them in the public's property. That's not, I just don't think that's proper. I'm off my soapbox. Thanks.
Did you talk to the people that you saw about why aren't you using the gravel roads?
Yeah, well, we were on the highway. They were going lickety split down the road, and the family was on the hay rack with the watermelons, and and yet they could have used the gravel road all the way till Addison and drove 1 mile up to the auction. But they got the tractor going full bore, so. Anyway,
Well, we have a motion and a second to approve the second reading of the proposed Mitchell County steel or metal wheel ordinance. Roll call vote, Paul Planner.
aye.
Walk.
Hey,
Merrill, aye. Motion carried. We move down to number 8. Consideration of abandoning original proposal to issue bonds.
It was brought to our attention that the language that's going to be on the ballot does not reflect the goals of what the county's trying to do. And this was brought to our attention by the architects. If we want to abandon that particular language, we've got to do it today, because tomorrow's the cutoff, and we would have to have a resolution to approve the new language.
what was the architect's concerns?
What is it you were trying to do with this courthouse?
I mean, that,
Okay, I'm just gonna ask you a question, Stan, and this was asked us, what exactly brought this to it? Why are we doing what we're doing? And it was brought up that, well, this building has showed its age, and questions of safety and functionality and all that has come up, and so that's basically what we were looking at. And I don't know if I got it with me or not, but
I mean, I thought it was wordy, but I thought it was okay.
and everybody has read this. But what they brought up, why wouldn't it make it more sense to use, instead of using demolish and just, I don't know, maybe I'm reading anyway, they said, why wouldn't you want to use the words like something to the effect of provide a state-of-the-art, safe and secure courthouse facility? Isn't that what you're trying to do? And we've talked about this language a lot of times, we just always kind of, and I guess when,
It's negative.
yes, it is, it casts a negative view to it. So, that's what they brought up, they said it doesn't reflect the goals that you're trying to set forth.
well, does it, really in one respect, does it get back to basically what we had here just a few weeks ago with Carl and this other attorney on the 28Es, where, if you get 6 people involved, every last one of them would have different language that they would want to see, and not that any of them is wrong, but not,
Why is the language done by somebody that's not a part of Mitchell County?
This is Dan, see, didn't he do this? And I remember when I just figured, well, he's a lawyer, he knows what needs to be in it. If he could have different language, I think, because we always, you know, we never liked the word demolish. You know, that's not necessarily what the reason for us doing what we want to do. It's more, I mean, there's some safety concerns here. I mean, everybody said that. You know, Judge Drew was here, and we all talked about the courtroom. We talked about, you know, if you had 40 or 50 people up there, you can have a problem getting them out.
Oh, I'm in favor of the change.
I mean,
Look, let me think this through for a second.
okay.
Do you have to start completely over then? Once you
Well-
start changing language, and now you're missing the ballot.
No, we have till tomorrow to change the resolution.
Do you have to go through public hearing again?
That didn't sound like what
Well,
John
it doesn't
Dennis.
sound like it, or it doesn't.
Well, I couldn't get the damn computer to print off my email this morning, so I couldn't bring it along.
Because I don't think it's as simple as just, oh, we're gonna, maybe it is.
We have till the 29th, he says, to abandon the present language and adopt new language.
Well, in reality,
He says,
my understanding from John Danos is we, as a Board of Supervisors, can take ads out as long as they're neutral. They're not either supporting for or against. And I would think this is where we could actually go ahead and have an outside individual write up the ad that basically says, here is what's going to be on the ballot. A vote for yes means that you want this, a vote for no means you want that. And we basically get that information out. I don't know that we necessarily have to, because I agree with Mark. I question that too right away. If we'd have to hold another hearing, and that could throw this whole thing up. And
Well, call him up. See if he's available.
Can I see the language, Joel?
Yeah, John, this is Joel Volkman, Mitchell County Supervisor. We're discussing whether or not to abandon original proposal on the bond. Okay, we're at the board meeting, do you mind if I put you on speakerphone? There's some questions. Okay. Can you hear us?
I can't.
Okay. The question is, if we abandon this language, then do we have to hold another public hearing to adopt new language?
There's no public hearing required. No. You need to adopt a resolution calling an election on the new proposal.
Okay.
That doesn't require a public hearing as a prerequisite.
Okay, and my understanding is too, if we abandon the language today, we have to adopt new language by tomorrow, the 29th.
If you're striving for the November election,
Okay.
that's correct.
So I guess you answered everybody's question. Any other for John?
No, I don't. I just want to go through with this and we can do it. Just
Well,
whether
you-
we could do it or not.
You saw the email, what's your opinion on that? Changing the language?
Wow. That's a good question. From a legal standpoint, I can largely hit the neutral button because I don't think one is more legal than the other. In terms of effectiveness of clarity for the public or having people understand what they're voting on. Again, I think it's largely probably 6 in one hand, half dozen the other. So I don't have any strong feelings one way or another.
Okay. All right.
Well, John,
Yes, sir.
later this fall, I really feel the county should take some ads out in the paper, just really, again, explaining what a yes vote would mean and what a no vote would mean. You know, that we're impartial on the ad, but that people would have an understanding before they get to the voting booth what yes means and no means. What would be your opinion of that? And if you think that would be favorable, would you be willing to write something up for us that we could publish?
Paid for it with private money.
No, we can pay for it with county money, I believe.
On the topic, Joel had introduced to me some ideas about informational meetings last week, and I haven't asked, and I'm of the understanding that she has completed one of my associates to do a bit of a research memo on this topic so that you folks can have a clearer understanding of what your parameters are in terms of providing information to the public. And I'll have that circulated out to you folks this week as sort of a guidance piece. And that can inform you both on the idea of informational meetings and also on the idea of written types of materials that you might be able to put out. And then, yes, I mean, we're certainly available to help consult and make sure that whatever kinds of descriptive pieces are put together stay within those parameters. So please watch your emails because she's supposed to be wrapping up this memo today, and I want to have a look at it before I circulate it out to you. But it should give a little guide.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else? Okay,
So
thanks.
from my end, just please, if you don't mind, drop me an email after you folks have made a determination on what you are or aren't doing in terms of the ballot language. If you are abandoning the prior proposition and intending to come up with some new ballot language, let me know. I'd like to get some proceedings to reflect the formal action taken by the board.
Okay. We'll do that.
Very good.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, John. Have a good one.
You bet. Talk to you soon.
All right.
It's amazing what these little phones can do.
Just for your information, I'll get the memo, cites the county attorney general opinion that says if the supervisors make a determination that money's being used for a public purpose, it can be used for a public purpose.
I'd like that. That was the other thing too.
That's what the memo's gonna cite on that.
And agreeing to that FEH contract, and I thought it was farther down the line, but we did meet last week. Don Seymour called and asked if he could meet with 2 or 3 people. Noel was gone that day. I met with them, and Dave Harto and Brian McKinley. They did have a plan to come to the county and set up public informational meetings. And I'm glad we just talked to John too, because I emailed John about that. and he was gonna get back to me, but I never saw anything. Well, I guess the reason I never saw anything is because he's having somebody research it. They want to involve the public and going off the premise of you can spend money as long as it's for a public purpose. And I think you just basically said that. And I think it's important that everybody in the county is as fully as informed as they possibly can be. And they want to engage the county, and but until we get to that point, I think I've got some. This is what they understand. This is what they proposed to do in coming. They want to hold public open houses on the 6th, 10th, 14th, and 17th. And they will do public publicity prior to the open house. And I don't know if they're paying for that publicity, or that's, well, I'm sure roundabout way county would be paying for that publicity. And they have a whole agenda here that they want to start. I guess in some ways, I think we need to take action on whether or not we want them to do this, along with that number 3. You know, we approved the contract. Well, they weren't gonna do this unless we approved the contract.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I understand. But they did. We're on the language thing here.
Right, I know. We may have to return to the others. So on the language, it was their recommendation that day, and we kind of talked for probably an hour and a half, about this. If they come and do the open houses, and I think their thinking is that, more folks will understand what exactly it is the goal of the county to do, and does this present language reflect that goal? Or doesn't it matter?
I don't know, I didn't really see much wrong with the original, but
I think too, if we get the word out and why. I don't think very few people are gonna go into that voting booth on November 6th and have no knowledge of all, and that's gonna be their first chance to read and then trying to make up a decision. I think they're gonna have their mind made up before they, they're gonna understand what a vote yes means and a vote no means. So, that's really,
no action.
So that's what I'm hearing.
No action. Okay.
You know what I always say? Hire somebody smarter than you, then stay out of the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm hearing it.
So, Zanos thinks it's good to stay out of his way.
Well, he said, like you said, 6 1/2 dozen, yeah.
I'll guarantee you have 6 people here and everybody would make one. I'll change the word the to theirs,
Yeah.
change he to them. You're never gonna get 6 attorneys to agree, and then throw in 2 architects.
That's exactly
A
what we're
couple
saying.
engineers and a partridge in a pear tree.
And somebody with a journalism major.
I said I'd bring it up, I brought it up, then doesn't seem to get much footing, so I'm fine with that.
okay, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so 8 and 9, we can,
Just cross off, no
okay,
action.
back to that consideration of that contract. Do we want these folks to come and do those things?
I do.
I do too. So I'd make that motion, but we're not changing the language on the ballot. They'll have to understand that, they'll have to work around it. I mean, that
Yep.
was their concern, that, they wanted to make everything look like, followed your goals, so.
Well, we already approved the contract, so.
Okay, all right. Well, is it all right if we minutes show that that is part of that approval of that contract?
Consensus of the board.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely want to.
I like it.
We definitely want this done.
Okay.
Okay, I want to go back up to item 5.
Oh, sure, here we go again. On
You're in a
that,
hot box today.
yeah, I know, Tom called yesterday and he apologized, he said he could not make the meeting. He brought over some information last night, and what he needs is the chair's signature on the change order. And give you a little update on what's going on at the site out there. And we did get this construction memo, and it's, in reading through this, well, we ran it on the site, pre-treatment, we ran into a landfill. And so now that has to be all hauled away. There's concrete, bricks, trees, logs, stumps, all sorts of material in there that you can't use to set tanks on. And they did a lot of borings out there, but the borings just missed the landfills, you know, when they were checking.
They're probably more toward the building site rather than
And
the
so-
road.
What they, on this change order, what they're doing, and if you look in the back here, there's a little bit of a drawing, I'm gonna try to explain what it is. They were, at one point, you see all those little, these lines, those are borings. They were going to excavate this, but the types of soil we had out there, we would have had to excavate 18.5 feet in some places and fill,
Deep?
yes, and fill with crushed rock. That would have been much more expensive than this change order. So now Terracon has told them that they can do these type of borings, and this will be ram stone, and this will support that, those tanks. The smaller tanks, I think, were okay, and according to some of this, they allowed for a 1 inch of settling, but the rest of this, the big tanks, the 77-foot diameter tanks, would be about 3,000 pounds per square inch sitting there.
Really?
Full, you know. And the borings terminate at the bedrock is about 18 to 21 feet below the surface. And then he said too, if you're trying to excavate that to 18 and 20 some feet, then the excavation would have to go this way. It can't go like this.
Right.
And so that he said we'd be almost out in the road
Oh, yeah.
trying, and then fill them with rock. So that's what this change order is about. And I guess what he's looking for is to allow the chair to sign the change order.
So moved.
And I'll second. And I pointed out to him last night that on his original, when he brought over, it says net decrease of this change order. What? He goes, I said, yeah, it says decrease. I said, but the numbers don't add up. It's an increase, and so then he sent one over this morning to Lowell with the correct language, so.
Okay. Okay, we have
Yeah.
a motion and a second to approve phase 2 of the tank change order number 1 for the Valent project. Roll call vote, Locke.
Aye.
Volklander.
Aye.
Brown, aye, motion carried. I guess item B of that is for a later date, a proposal for construction administration. We're gonna do that next week.
Yes.
We'll table that. Number 7, approval of the minutes.
Make motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of August 21st, 2012. Roll call vote, Volklander.
Aye.
Clock.
Aye.
Brown, aye. Motion carried. Yeah, looks like we're moving right along. Items of note. Meetings attended.
I had none.
At CSS meeting last Wednesday in Tama, we went through, made changes to the bylaws, and about, I think there was probably about 5 or 6 changes we made in the bylaws, just language type of things that everybody wanted to make note of, I guess. Bob got the new copy out. I didn't, like I say, I can't print nothing yet, so I'll get it printed off. I can share that with you. Then we also approved the county social allocation to the collective account. We had some, Cassuth County has to send over $966,000, and they weren't too happy about that, but that's part of the deal. And when all of our collective counties went together, we did combine our monies, and so he was kind of a little bit worried about that, but every county that's joined CSS has done that. We put the money in Butler County, who's our fiscal agent. But we had quite a bit of discussion on that. I thought, right now, we're shooting for $47.28 per capita. I think 2014, I think that's when we'll see a property tax reduction in Mitchell County. Some counties will see a property tax increase, but we're already paying $1.27, I believe it is, somewhere in that vicinity.
Or 13.
Or $1.13.
I was thinking that
Okay.
sticks in my
Well, I know
mind.
we voted to
Here a few
raise
months
it
ago.
nickel, then we
Late winter.
didn't have to, so. But some counties are only like 28 cents. So those are the ones that are gonna be hollering and dollars, I suppose.
Didn't the state say they're gonna backfill those counties? Wasn't that passed?
Yeah.
That was
some-
my
there's-
understanding. From reading through it, is the state,
This year, but I don't think forever.
yeah, not forever, but there was gonna be some
Yeah.
kind of transition thing for
But
them.
what they wanna do is get it all fair across the board,
Yeah.
with the regions. And then we're taking in 2 more counties. We're gonna take in Fayette and Calhoun. So we'll be up to, I think it's 18 or 19 counties. You won't get to all the counties in 1 year. But I think then we're also talking about doing central locations, maybe Mason City, Waterloo, Fort Dodge, I don't know. So, but we didn't talk about that too much. Then my other meeting was, then I told you about the FEH, and then Mitchell County Economic Development last night. Looks like there's another round of those final round of those flood houses. Be probably about 10 to 15 apps. Preference is going to Mason City and Charles City, but they're only $150,000 houses, so that's probably not gonna see that too much. Brenda is gonna get some information. I forwarded the information I got from Workforce Development that I reported on last week to her, and she is going to help fill that out. And she did visit with Mayor Erb, who's also on that board over there, and we're gonna have a meeting on October 16th over there, and we'll discuss all that. It was brought up last night, as we got talking about that, with industry and the needs of industry and the needs of workers and stuff, and not too many people thought that 12-hour shift thing was a good thing, and that's probably part of the reason why they have such a hard time finding, qualified and responsible workers, is because of the hours. I mean,
Your productivity drops off real fast
Right.
after 10.
they said,
Drops after 8, but it just almost nosedives after 10.
was brought up that, 4 10-hour days is probably not bad. People usually can stand to work that many hours, and then they enjoy the 3-day weekend. So it was kind of interesting. We had a little round table last night on that too. The other thing was, well, let's see management work 12-hour shifts too. It changed real quick, they said. So, so it's kind of interesting to get other people's opinions, but that was pretty much our meeting last night. There's some CDBG grants coming, water and sewers, and Brenda's checking with communities. Oh, and we took in McIntyre last night. We made a motion to accept them. They're gonna be in for 2 years, see how it works, see what can happen, and
Economic development.
yeah. And Tony Keeney's was the representative last night.
Who was?
Tony Keeney's,
Okay.
and so, yeah, we hope it works out for them, and good to have somebody else on board. And I think one of our new members is gonna be Keith Eastman from Riceville. He's gonna come, be sitting in on the board meetings. Because we have not had a full board for a long time. We've always been short one representative from Riceville.
Has there been any talk about a packing plant?
Yep, we talked about that last night too. It's on line up at Lime Springs. It's gonna be type of a specialty plant. Sounds like possibly kill 13,000 head a year.
Just cattle?
Yep. And I guess there've been some meetings around the county to inform folks, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. I think they're trying to raise $3 million out there.
Well, there's a lot of cattle in the eastern part of Mitchell County and
Well, if you drive to
Howard County, I guess.
you see all these newer type of confinement, cattle confinements going up, and the way I understand it, and there's a website, you can go on, Lime Springs Beef, it tells all about it.
Okay.
It's gonna be a niche market, Minneapolis, Rochester, Des Moines, you know, and you'll be able to, the package will reflect the grower and the finisher, I mean, where this beef came from. I think it's Angus
A
beef.
little more local type of thing.
So anyway, those are my meetings.
Poor Herefords.
Well, I always get a kick out of it, you know, because that was brought up at the meeting last night, and, wow, you guys get paid premium price for beef. Well, a lot of them said they kind of stayed away from that grade and yield because they don't necessarily know who's actually doing the grading and yield, and you gotta be at the packing plant to get that, and so a lot of them just sell on the hoof. I brought up to one farmer one time, I said, well, you get a lot of extra money for that Angus beef, don't you? They always tell us that on TV, you know. He says, yeah, right. But if you get an Angus steak or a Hereford steak, you couldn't probably tell the difference, you know. So anyway, it was interesting conversation last night.
Yeah, it could be an elk steak.
Yeah, it could be.
You can tell the difference. I've done it, yeah. Anyway, I had a short meeting, decategorization governance board in Charles City yesterday morning. Basically went over some fiscal year 13 contracts and reviewed the community plan for fiscal year 13. We needed to put some changes in there. DHS reported on re-abuse. They had 20 assessments of re-abuse between August of 2011 and May of 2012. Out of the 20 assessments, they had 9 confirmed repeat offenses. So they're just about a 50% re-abuse rate. Then they listed the reasons or the causes for the re-abuse. Number 1 was drugs. Number 2 was physical abuse. Number 3 was lack of supervision, no supervision there. And 4th was domestic violence in the home. That was a rather short meeting. That was basically all I covered. Last night I went to Riceville for the Riceville Community Club meeting. They did a wrap-up on the Wapsie days. Didn't have a real good Wapsie days because of the rain. It kind of got rained out. But I guess if what makes it rain, we need a parade to do it. I guess we should do that more often. But, one thing I found interesting was they had 8 teams for the wheelchair races, and they had a very good turnout for that. Did you see them, Jim? I didn't either, but it's kind of comical because the guy pushing or the person pushing the wheelchair is blindfolded, and the one riding has to give the directions. And I guess it was quite a fiasco. They're expecting a lot bigger turnout for next year. They raised over $500 just on that one event. John Mulder, there, the director of the nursing home, is also into fundraising for the hospital. We're going to have duck races in coordination with the Autumn Artistry program here in Osage. We have the duck races out at Spring Park in the Cedar River, and it's $5 a ticket or 6 for $25. John has also invited the Director of Education for the state of Iowa to be a guest speaker September 20th at the school gymnasium in Riceville at 5 p.m. on September 20th. And then we just had the reports of the city and that sort of thing. Those are my two. Manure management plan updates.
There's two of them. TC Pork 2, owned by Terry and Chris Patterson, Section 17 Union, and Maple Lawn Pork, owned by Terry Patterson and also in 17 of Union.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the cause, I guess?
The cause is good.
Cause is good? Cause is good. Alrighty. Stand adjourned at 9:25.